So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Understanding the Energy Efficiency webinar. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Just to note that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our Facebook page afterwards for everyone to access. We also put a couple of polls up to fill out prior to and after the webinar to help us better understand our audience. So if you can fill those out, that would be much appreciated. So the webinar will also be translated to French and will be posted on at a later date. Just for introductions, my name is Gabrielle Etier, and I'm the Climate Action Outreach Assistant for the City of Cornwall. And I'm joined today with Angela Parker, our Sustainability Project Coordinator.
Hi, thanks, Gabby. So yes, Sustainability Project Coordinator here for the City of Cornwall, and it's Energy Efficiency Day, and we are very excited to have this webinar, Lunch and Learn webinar. So it is a milestone in our climate action plan, and very fortunate to have these guests today. Back to you, Gabby.
Thanks, Angie. So, yeah, a little bit about Energy Efficiency Day. So, Cornwall Council declared Wednesday, October 4th, 2023, as Energy Efficiency Day in the City of Cornwall. The day is designated to bring awareness to climate change and to elevate smarter energy strategies within the community. Topics that will be discussed today include how to optimize energy use, the purpose of energy audits, the technology with heat pumps, and understanding your Cornwall electricity bill, as well as other topics. So here we have a little message from Cornwall's Youth for Climate Action Working Group. I will leave that with Angela. Her audio seems to be working better than mine.
We are the Cornwall Youth for Climate Action Working Group.
And we are concerned about energy efficiency.
And you should be too.
What is energy efficiency? I'm glad you asked. Energy efficiency is the process of reducing the amount of energy given in any products and services.
Say, do you know any benefits to being energy efficient?
Funny that you ask, I actually do. Did you know that building energy efficient buildings not only increase the quality of life of the tenants, but also reduce their monthly costs?
I'd not.
Well, now you do, and you do too.
Are there any environmental benefits?
There are. Reduced energy consumption lowers greenhouse gas emissions, and this helps to improve air and water quality.
And not only will our buildings and infrastructure affect you,
but it will also affect our futures and the generations to come.
That's why we support energy efficiency.
And you should too!
Woo! Perfect. So that was the City of Cornwall's Youth for Climate Action Working Group. This group is composed of environmentally driven high school students looking to have their voices and ideas heard regarding climate change. So if anyone knows of any high school students who would like to become a member, please email Angela Parker at sustainability@cornwall.ca. We're always looking for more members. Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. There you go. Sorry about that. So now on to today's panelists. Please let me welcome today's panelists, Andrea Sloan, Jessica Coker, Jessica Baker, Tom Rand, and Cedric Papalia. In between each speaker, our Sustainability Project Coordinator Angela will be pulling names to give out prizes, so make sure to listen in. Also, feel free to leave any questions you may have throughout the webinar in the chat box. We will be monitoring both the Zoom chat and the Facebook feed. The questions will be asked and answered at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, please let me welcome our first panelist from Cornwall Electric, Andrea Sloan.
So Gabby, you just have the poll up on right now. So just give them another minute for responding to that.
Oh, sorry about that. No rush.
It's okay. So we have asking how much you know about energy efficiency at this moment, from 1 being very little to 5 being a lot. And also, if you scroll down, what is your primary source of heat? So the panelists can see that most have natural gas, 25% with electricity, 13% with oil, and it seems like people seem to know a lot about energy efficiency. So hopefully we can get them to know even more after this. Perfect. I'll end this and then I'll leave it over to Andrea.
Hi, thanks for having me today. So thanks Angela and Gabrielle for putting this together. I'm Andrea Saloni. I work with Cornwall Electric, supervisor customer service metering and some HR services. So a little bit of a multi hats that I wear. I'm going to try here today to help you understand your bill. So I can't, the presentation, are you able to bring that up, Gabrielle?
Yep, just let me know when you want me to switch the slide.
Sure. Okay. So we'll go on to the next slide. Again, thank you for having me today. I'll try to keep it to my 10 minutes. So try to speak a little quickly and then I can answer any questions at the end because I believe there's a section for questions. So just going to go over a little bit of information about Cornwall Electric, some background information about the company, about our power purchase agreement, you know, how we supply our customers. Then we'll go through a little bit of what your bill looks like, where you can find some information on your bill, some key indicators on consumption and efficiencies. And then we'll look at a usage chart and see how some of the items in your home impact the consumption, and then of course the cost on your bill. And then I'll turn it over to the next presenter. So Gabrielle, if we can go to the next, yeah, perfect. So Cornwall Electric is a Fortis Ontario company, and we are committed to the environment. So we distribute electricity to our customers that is close to 100% renewable resources, which means there's few to no greenhouse gas emissions. So we're unique in the province of Ontario because we're regulated through a franchise agreement with the City of Cornwall, the townships, and we purchase our power for Quebec Hydro. A little bit different than being connected to the Ontario grid. We supply about 23,800 customers in the City of Cornwall, South Glengarry, South Stormont, and the Ontario portion of the Mohawk territory of Akwesasne. So Cornwall Electric is wholly owned by Fortis Ontario, and that our headquarters is located in Fort Erie. And Fortis Ontario is 100% owned by Fortis Inc., which is in Newfoundland. So we'll go to the next slide. So a little bit about a power purchase agreement. The power purchase agreement is a long-term contract with Hydro-Quebec. So Cornwall Electric has been a low carbon emitter for years with the power it purchases and distributes to its customers. With ambitious targets to reduce our GHG emissions, Cornwall Electric will continue to foster a cleaner future through energy resilience and seeking cost-efficient opportunities, including these lights that go off automatically when we leave our office, or if I stand too still and the sensor doesn't catch me. So sorry about that. You might see me move around a little bit so my light stays on. So also, we're monitoring and integrating renewables. We have some benchmarks that we're creating to reduce GHG emissions. We seek opportunities to increase our customers' access to renewable energy sources, and we are maintaining the near zero greenhouse gas emissions. So Cornwall Electric has reduced target of 75% GHG emissions by 2035 compared to our 2019 levels, and a 2050 net zero directive for GHG emissions to decarbonize over the long term. So I'm just going to go back a little bit and give you some information about the opportunities to increase our customers' access to renewable energy. So renewable energy systems generate electricity through renewable sources. So for example, solar panels convert energy from the sun into electricity. So your home or business can use the electricity from the renewable source, and then Cornwall Electric's grid would supplement if needed. So when renewable energy systems produce more electricity, then the excess can flow into the grid, and then Cornwall Electric would then provide an on-bill credit for what you are then putting back into the grid. So your utility bills would show what you've consumed, what you've put back into the grid, and any leftover credit could be maintained for up to a 12-month period. However, I would note that the net metering offers are limited, and due to the potential impact on this power purchase agreement, which means that we have a limited amount. So it's a first come, first serve basis. So customers are interested, then they should contact customer service. They'll be put on a list towards the end of 2023, beginning of 2024's initiative to start reaching out and looking at different properties and if it is feasible. But however, we really would recommend customers get a feasibility study or an assessment of their property, because not every property is feasible. And there is, you know, some cost impact for the customers. And so that would be some research that we would recommend the customer do prior to contacting customer service. However, if you just like to be put on the list while you're looking into it, you would maintain a priority and we would reach out. And in that time, you could do a little bit of research. So that's just an initiative that we're starting. And if you have any questions, or customers have questions, we encourage you to call Cornwall Electric. So I'll go to the next slide. So just to again explain how we supply power. So I mentioned that we purchase power from Quebec Hydro. So it's generated from Quebec Hydro. We do not generate any power. We just distribute the power. So it comes to Cedar Rapids Transmission, then on to Cornwall Electric. We have substations located in various areas strategically to be able to feed and supply our customers, so residential homes and businesses. So what Cornwall Electric does is we build, we own, we maintain, and we operate the infrastructure here in Cornwall and some of the surrounding area. We transform high voltage electricity into usable power, deliver electricity safely and reliably to our customers, restore power after storms. And then we're, you know, you could call us, we're your point of contact for billing for the consumption that you use, customer service, any emergency responses that you have, we can help you out with that by calling the office. And, you know, our business is to supply the electricity commodity to customers at a cost. So we'll just go on to the next slide. Speaking of costs, here is, you know, a typical or a bill from Cornwall Electric. Just to draw your attention to the top right hand corner, you'll see your account number, the statement date, and the due date for your bill. That's all standard for every bill. Just below, I know it's hard to see, but there's a perforated area. There's a meter number. The meter number is unique only to that property. And then after that, you'll see a from to. So that's the billing period that we're billing you from. Here would be July 14th to September 13th. Just below, just along that same line, then we give you what your previous read was and your current read. So we do not have smart meters here in Cornwall, nor do we bill any time of use. So it's important to note that there is no change in the rate, whether you use your power in the morning, the afternoon, evening. We do not have that time of use rates. So we actually read the meter, and we go and read the meter every 2 months. So you see that your previous read, your present read, and then it gives you your billed quantity. So that's here, the example I'm showing you, it's 792 kilowatts in this billing period. On the left-hand side, we do repeat those billing dates, and we show you the number of days on the bills. So this example here, 792 kilowatts in 62 days. So then further down, there is an energy consumption history. So that gives you an indication of you know, what you're using in what billing period. So I'll draw your attention to that little box on the corner here, and you can see that July 2022, there is a number of kilowatts and per day usage. And then September, same thing, and then we go on November, you see it slightly drops. And then again, July and September. So here what a customer can notice is that they typically have a little bit of a spike in the summer months. For me, that would indicate maybe they have a window air conditioner you're putting in. There's something driving that. And then opposite to that in the winter, any electric heaters and stuff would then, you know, cause that little bit of a fluctuation sometimes in the winter time. So it's important to take a look at that and see where you're using the power and trying to look at your patterns. Now, we give you a year on your bill. However, we also maintain a portal. You can go to our website and then register through our website for a portal. It's called Silver Blaze, and you'll have all of your billing history on there. There's tips on energy efficiencies. There's some other functions that, you know, we're bringing technology to our customers for e-billing, for, you know, some e-forms and stuff. But you can go on there and you can get all of your previous billing. So that would be really good if you're looking at any of those, you know, solar panels and looking to see what your usage is. You know, you could get all those bills through our website. You can also contact customer service. So, and also what this could help you with is if there's nothing, you think nothing's changed in your home and you see, oh, something's starting to slowly go up. What I would then say is maybe you have like a hot water tank, you know, and there's two, everyone has, if you have an electric one, there's two elements in there. Maybe one of them is burnt, the other one is not running efficiently, and that's going to cause a little bit of a spike in your bill. Sometimes even just like a small leak in the tank would do that. Sometimes, you know, plugging in your car at certain times of the year, but we don't really think of that while we're looking, you know, at the bill. One small electric heater can make a difference. So I'll show you how that can make a difference on your bill. If Gabrielle, you go to the next slide. So this is a usage chart that we've developed. So here is, we always put in the most current rates. So this is our rates from July 1st until June of 2024. Our rates will not change. And this is kind of the wattage of different things, appliances, small heaters, different things. So what we did was we gave like a monthly hour. So we gave a low and high, if you look in the kind of the middle of there, and then what those kilowatts would represent, and then an approximate cost. So, you know, I mentioned electric heaters. Let's say that electric fireplace, you know, it's always nice to get them, you put them on the wall, and we don't think we've changed anything in our usage pattern, but just the electric heater, if it's about 1,000 watts, if you run it for 30 hours in a month. So it'll use approximately $4.11. So 30 hours a month represents just an hour a day. And then on the little bit higher side, let's say you're using it 3 hours a day. That's, you know, about 90 hours a month. That could represent $12, $12.32 on your bill. And then that's per month. So our bills are every 2 months. So then you take that $12.32 times 2, and that's $24. If you've plugged in 2 of them, you multiply that, it's $48 on your bill. So just one item can really, you know, significantly change depending on how you're using it. It's not bad to have them, it's just to keep it in mind, our usage and how we could be more efficient, you know. So sometimes, you know, a renter, we've gotten questions when you don't own the property and you can't change the windows, what can you do? So I believe, you know, there'll be some information a little bit further on in this presentation on how you can find some efficiencies, but you know, some of the things people do tend to do is buy those little space heaters and plug them in to make up for, you know, maybe a draft coming in the window, and just to keep in mind what that could possibly cost on a bill. Here we've kind of broken down air conditioning, hot tubs, you know, video game consoles, even a lamp. I think we have some light bulbs in here. So a fan, portable fan, electric heaters, dehumidifiers, all those things. So someone could take this chart and, you know, really go, if you want to look at your finding efficiencies, go room by room and look at the items that you have. Obviously, everything is not on this chart, but you can gauge by the wattage if you have something else that's comparable. We'll share these charts. We can email them out to anybody. You just ask customer service. We'll be more than happy, you know, to go through it with you. We can, look at your bill with you and also give you some directives that way, because we can see all of the history, you know, at the property. We not be able, because of privacy reasons, to share any previous person's consumption, but we can certainly look at it and give you some indications if there's been some changes. So, you know, keeping in mind it, you know, in the summertime, keep the blinds closed. That will help with the cooling, and in the wintertime, I'll keep those blinds open because the sun is great to heat, you know. And then just changing your thermostat, for instance, it, you know, can change a bill by 5% for every degree that you go up. So above 20. So if, you know, 20 versus 22, it's a 10% increase on possibly on your heating costs. So, you know, those things are, keep them in mind and look at that fluctuation and see. Again, we're here to help and to serve any of our customers. On est bilingue, on va vous servir en français. Si vous avez des questions en français, ça va nous faire plaisir à vous répondre. Toutes les représentantes de service à clientèle parlent en français. Et moi aussi, ça me fait plaisir de répondre aux questions en français à la fin de la présentation. So I guess that my time is up. So I really would like to thank everyone. I know I went quickly, and I'm be more than happy to answer any questions here, or my contact information is here on the slide. You know, you leave me a message, I'll certainly get back to you and give you the information that I can, and direct you in any, you know, to a different department if that's what's needed. So thanks again, merci, and enjoy the rest of the presentations.
Great, thank you. So we are going to give out some prizes to those who are participating on Facebook. If there's someone who has a question, that's part of being a participant, and those watching on Zoom. So randomly selected someone, and the person is Ruth. There's only one Ruth as an attendee right now. So Ruth, please reach out to sustainability@cornwall.ca, and we'll make sure to get the prize to you. Also, too, I realized the Q&A button is not showing at the bottom. So during Q&A portion, you'll be able to raise your hand to ask a question verbally. Or if you'd rather send an anonymous question, feel free to email them to me at sustainability@cornwall.ca, and I'll make sure to ask those questions for you. Or you can go onto the live stream on Facebook and put your question in the comments. Okay, Gabby? Oh, you're muted, Gabby. I'm just have to get you to unmute, Gabby. You just have to share the PowerPoint.
Should I just jump right in?
Go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, all right. Hi, everybody, and yeah, thank you for joining the webinar, and thank you to the organizers for putting this together. I'm happy to be speaking with you about my work with Sustainable Kingston. I'm a registered energy advisor and a civil environmental engineer, and I am excited that you're all here to listen to this presentation. Next slide, please. So after examining your energy bills, like Andrea just directed you to some resources to be able to do that, and you're thinking, I'm spending a little too much here and there, maybe I've got some problems, maybe I can do some upgrades, but it's a big thing to really fit into your head. And so you are wondering, okay, where do I start? How do I start saving on my energy bills, be more comfortable in the wintertime and summertime? There are small things and big things that you can do. And so I'm going to take you through some of the options. Next slide, please. I'll tell you a little bit about Sustainable Kingston and then about one of the 3 areas of our focus, which is energy services. So what does a home energy evaluation? What does a registered energy advisor do? And then what you will get out of the evaluation as the homeowner. And then after you've decided the upgrades that you want to do, then how to get the most bang for your buck. Next slide, please. Sustainable Kingston is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to enhance the livability and resiliency of residents in Kingston and the surrounding area, which includes Cornwall. There is societal discourse against fossil fuel use and a general desire to increase our resiliency in a changing climate and become more energy efficient. So Sustainable Kingston is here to help you with that desire. Our 3 areas of focus are outreach and education. We have events. We also have sustainably.eco, which is a commercial recognition program that businesses can sign on to if they are sustainable in their practices or their products or both. And so it's a recognition system for that. And then also our energy services, which I'm going to dive into a little bit more. Next, please, slide. Thanks. Great. So the next few slides are going to be rapid fire, just a quick and dirty to get you familiar with some of the terms, what you can get out of it. But there will be questions at the end of the webinar, and then my contact information is also included, and I welcome any of your questions. If you are wanting to have an energy evaluation of your home, or also known as an energy audit, then you would contact a service organization like Sustainable Kingston, and they would send out a registered energy advisor, or an REA. You can see that Sustainable Kingston, SK, serves a wide area, all those postal codes, and Cornwall and the surrounding area is included in that. So please do contact us if you're interested in getting your home evaluated. REAs are certified and trained by Natural Resources Canada, and standardized across the country. When we come to do the pre-retrofit evaluation on your home, then we collect the house data and then use that data to model the current, at the time of the evaluation, the energy efficiency, the energy used by the home, and then also make recommendations for upgrades on how you can improve that efficiency. Next slide. The bottom line with what an REA does is that we are on your team, and we engage with you as the homeowner, take into account the things that you're looking to do for your home upgrades, as well as what we are seeing as necessary based on the data we collect. When we do that data collection, we're collecting information on the indoor and outdoor dimensions of your house, exterior windows and doors, insulation levels, and the various parts of your house, the mechanical equipment, heating, cooling, the hot water, and then we do the final blower door test, which tests the air tightness of your home. And then it's really useful to go around with the REA and find those air leakage locations so you can address them. Based on that house data, then we look at the energy use of the house, and then also gauge the upgrade impacts that we are recommending. You as the homeowner will then receive 3 reports. There's the label, the homeowner information sheet, and the renovation upgrade report. And I'll give you a little bit of an overview of those in the next few slides. So next slide, please. This is the first of the reports. It's the label. It gives you your EnerGuide rating in gigajoules, which is how much energy your house is using in a year's time. That's the big number at the top there, the 100 to the 121. And then the number just below that is how your house compares to a house that has the exact same geometries as your house, but it is built to the current Ontario building code. So it just gives you an idea of how well you're doing compared to building code standards. Next slide, please. The second sheet or report is the homeowner information sheet. And it again gives you your rating, but then it also gives you a summary of the data that the REA will collect at the time of the pre-retrofit evaluation. So you get information on your insulation, your windows, doors, mechanical equipment, how airtight your house is, and areas of the leakage that could be the equivalent leakage area. And your gigajoule rating it's just gigajoules are a unit of energy that is used to standardized energy conversations about energy across the country when we're talking about home efficiency. Next slide, please. 2 useful parts of this hoist, or the homeowner information sheet, are these 2 pie charts. It's showing you where your energy is used. As you'd expect in Canada, most of our energy is going towards heating our home, and that can be reduced a little bit. You can become more efficient with that. Tom is going to tell you about heat pumps, which can be used in heating and cooling, so that's very useful. And then also it will break down, the second pie chart is where your home loses heat, and it gives you an idea of the diagram on the right is showing you can have your heat loss through your attic, through your walls, your windows, your foundation. And so that pie chart breaks that down for you so you know where to focus your efforts. Next slide, please. The third report is your renovation upgrade report, and that is showing you, again, your energy rating at the time of the evaluation, how you compare to the Ontario Building Code standard house of the same size. And then also it gives a third number this time, where it's showing you that possible rating that you could achieve if you implemented every single one of the upgrades that are in the report. It's important to note that you do not have to implement every single one of the upgrades. They're just all listed there based on your conversations with the REA, so that you have them in your back pocket and you can work your way through it, which is the next slide. I'll go through that. So next slide, please. So it's very useful. Again, can be overwhelming undergoing house upgrades. So to know where to start, you have, as part of the upgrade report, you have this roadmap. which lays out the different upgrades that you can do. It shows you how much energy you will save in gigajoules if you do that particular upgrade. And then it walks you through your upgrade journey. Next slide, please. There are big and small things that you can do, increasing in expense as you go down this list. All of these things on this list are eligible for rebates with the program that Jessica is going to tell you about in the next section, other than LED light bulbs or light bulbs in general. But that is just, I wanted to throw that in there. Like Andrea mentioned, you can close your blinds, things like that, that will help to make your house more comfortable, save you on energy costs. A very easy one is to do air sealing. So take a weekend and redo or apply new caulking, weather stripping, plug up holes around your house, and you will be amazed by how much more comfortable you will be. And then you're not heating the outdoors, which is always a nice thought. Then increasing in cost as you go down, also doing attic insulation, that gives you a lot of bang for your buck. It's fairly inexpensive to get blown cellulose insulation topped up into your attic. And so, and it's a carbon sink, so it's a great option. Then increasing in price as you go down, and that's where especially the incentive programs can become useful, because heat pumps are expensive, exterior wall insulation is expensive, windows, doors. I didn't put solar on this list, but that's also eligible for a rebate. So it's a great help having this program, the Home Efficiency Rebate Plus program, to help you with the financial burden at times of doing these upgrades, but it definitely pays off in your comfort and your energy levels for sure. Next slide, please. So thank you so much for listening. It was rapid fire, like I said, but I welcome your questions at the end of the webinar. And if you do want to follow up with an email with more questions, I would love to hear from you. And our phone number is also there at the bottom.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm not sure if we've fixed Gabrielle's audio or not. Gabby, can you just try talking?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. Perfect.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, good.
About earlier. Sorry about earlier, everybody. I was trying to speak and then I realized that nobody can hear me.
So what we're going to do now is give away another prize. And so randomly selected, I think it's the only one we have on here. Yeah, so selected someone named Todd. So if you're a Todd and you are on the Zoom, please reach out to sustainability@cornwall.ca for your prize, and we will get that out to you. So just a reminder, the Q&A button is not appearing at the bottom of people's screens, so you can always raise your hand at the end of the webinars to ask a question. I think there was somebody in the chat right now who would like to ask a question, but we'd ask if you just could wait till the last speakers have spoken, and then we will do the discussion period. Also too, on Facebook, if you're live streaming on Facebook, feel free to put your question in the comment, or you can email sustainability@cornwall.ca. You can email your question there if you didn't want to raise your hand and speak during the Q&A. Okay, Gabby?
Perfect. Thank you, Angie. And thank you, Jessica Coker, for your presentation. And thank you for staying within 10 minutes. I know how hard that can be. So on to our next panelist. We have Jessica Baker from Enbridge. So take it away, Jess.
Hi, thank you so much, Gabby. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to the team at Cornwall for inviting me to this event. It's very much appreciated. And I want to also thank my fellow panelists. Jessica and Andrea, your presentations have been wonderful so far. And Jessica, thank you so much for giving me a bit of a segue into what I will be talking about today. Next slide, please. So with energy, perfect. So I'm Jessica Baker, and I work for Enbridge, and under the Public Affairs Office of Enbridge, we have a team called the Municipal Energy Solutions Team. And what we do is, next slide, we really want to try and partner up with municipalities to help mitigate climate change risk and reduce GHG emissions. And we do this through many different ideas, generally a full suite of programs that are directed at these, whether they come from a conservation angle, helping with renewable gases or any kind of clean energy technology. Enbridge is very much trying to help households and municipalities in gaining more knowledge and availability to access these programs. Next slide, please. So demand side management, kind of what is this? It seems a little bit counterintuitive, but demand side management is the endeavor of Enbridge Gas to use less natural gas. We are regulated by a large Ontario governance body, and they have basically said to our utility company, we really like you, but we want you to become more environmentally friendly. And a way that we're doing this is through creating these programs and initiatives that we're able to help households and municipalities to achieve climate change goals. Whether you're a business, it's just looking to be more sustainable and energy efficient. Next slide, please. Sorry, next slide, please. Oh. All right, I can do that one. So what energy conservation has come up with is a multi-year plan. So all of the programs and initiatives that I'm going to outline today, they are part of our comprehensive strategy to reduce natural gas use and GHGs. All of these programs are available all the way until December 31st, 2025, and they began in January of 2023. And with this suite of programs, I'll go over it a bit. I would say the largest overarching goal that we wanted to achieve is to reach more people, as many people as we can. So we've changed eligibility and criteria so that we are able to reach more people and be a part of this endeavor. Next slide, please. So the first program that I'm going to touch on is a residential program, the Home Efficiency Rebate Plus program. So this is a collaboration with the federal government, with NRCan, and it is through the Canada Greener Homes Grant. And what it does is it is a very holistic approach where if you are an Enbridge Gas customer, you could receive up to $10,000. But even if you aren't an Enbridge Gas customer, you're still able to receive funds from us to help in doing some of the retrofits available to a home. So whether you want to change up your windows, look at doors, air sealing installation, insulation, these are all items that Enbridge will offset costs with this program that we have with the federal government. And as I could say, the biggest item that I will say is that you don't even have to have natural gas anymore. So with our suite of programming and initiatives that were developed for 2023, one of the items that was definitely a large part of it is we want to eradicate we want to eradicate support for gas-fired equipment. And as I said, these programs are good all the way until 2025. Next slide, please. So, within some of these, ideas of retrofit, their cost is a giant obstacle that many, many households have. And Enbridge has devoted itself to creating programs that we feel make this endeavor to usher in energy efficiency more accessible to everyone. So our first one is a home winter proofing program. And if you meet the income criteria, you will be able to come in and receive an energy assessment to see if you need air sealing, insulation, that type of thing. A lot of the program, or a lot of the ideas that Jessica spoke about, but also that her Plus program addresses, but to no cost at all. It's all based on income criteria. And for a larger multifamily housing, we have the Affordable Housing Program, which can provide up to $8,000 for a multifamily unit, of course, pending eligibility. And again, the biggest idea is coming in, getting evaluations, thinking about different things that we could do so that people, aren't stricken with becoming energy poor, so to speak. An item that I will just mention that's not really on this exactly is one of Enbridge's programs, which is called the Smart Thermostat program. And I like to suggest this one because it's like tipping your toe into, the commencement of becoming more energy efficient. It's the idea where you can literally go to Home Depot and buy a smart thermostat and you get $75 off of it, and you can put that into your home, and that's a great way to start monitoring energy use and just a wonderful, accessible and easy way to begin a journey towards reducing your own household GHG emissions. Next slide, please.
Try hitting the next. Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
okay, here we go. All right, so building beyond code. So this is our savings by design program, and it is broken down into 3 streams. So, perhaps not for the residential owners, so homeowners so much, but for, builders, contractors, things like that. And I think that this is really pertinent to Cornwall because there's a ton of people moving out to you, and there's going to be growth. And where there's growth, there's building. And Savings by Design is very much an all-encompassing program that, as I said, addresses these 3 different streams, whether you're building an arena, whether you're building a subdivision, or if you're building affordable housing for the community. Savings by Design, we have full teams of people that come in and literally guide you through every aspect of designing a building so that it goes beyond Ontario's dictates for energy savings so far. So that's very important, and all working towards our endeavor of net zero building. And I believe that's all for me. Am I correct with that? Did I give another slide? No, I did not. So I'll just end it with thank you very much again. I'm around for questions afterwards, but I will just say that, with all of Enbridge's programmings, I understand it can be a bit overwhelming at times. If anyone is ever thinking about beginning retrofits, anything like that, just call us and we're always happy to help. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jessica, for your presentation. And I just wanted to thank everybody for your patience with the little glitches that we're kind of dealing with. We are going through it though. It's going well. So thank you so much for that. Angela, can you
Another
pick our
prize?
next winner, please?
Yeah, for sure. So on Zoom, it's come up as I think it's the only one. Yes. So Kathy. So if you're on Zoom and your name is Kathy, please reach out at sustainability.ca and we will make sure, sustainability@cornwall.ca, and we'll make sure to get that to you. So that was Kathy. Okay, go ahead, Gabby.
Perfect. Thanks, Angela. All right, on to our next panelist, Tom Rand from Walker Climate Care. Take it away, Tom.
Thanks very much, Gabby and Angela, appreciate it. Thanks very much for the invitation to be able to speak here today. And thank you also to the other panelists for their wonderful contributions. So my name is Tom Rand. I work on the management team at Walker Climate Care here in Cornwall, a local HVAC firm. Going to spend some time setting the stage and talking to you a little bit about heat pump technology, and hopefully I'll be able to answer more questions than we have you ask, but I will be around for Q&A. Gabby, if you're ready for the first slide. And we'll go straight into the next one. I'm going to put a couple of numbers up here, and then we'll see what those see what they represent. So the first one, if you didn't guess it, 40% represents the amount of energy that most Canadian homeowners are spending relative to HVAC needs in their home. So it's a pretty significant amount. We'll throw up another number, Gabby. It's 42%. I know you're all muted. I'd love this to be a little bit more interactive, but hopefully it gets you thinking. And what that number represents, if we'll click, it's going to show you is the amount of Canadian households with central air conditioning as at the end of 2021. And I'll add a quick note here that this number spiked dramatically during that period, thanks to some incredible hot weather that happened out west in British Columbia. I'm sure a lot of people read about that in the news. And it doesn't include anything that's non-central air conditioning, but it is certainly, it's not quite a majority of people, but it's certainly a significant portion of the population. All right, our next number up there, $320. Hopefully the dollar sign gave it away. We've certainly spoken about this topic extensively this afternoon. So if it'll reveal that number is what an average Canadian household is spending on utility bills in Ontario. And that's everything. So that could be with Enbridge, that could be with Cornwall Electric, et cetera. And that's an aggregate number just averaged across the province in this case. Next number coming up, a little bit harder to guess. It's very specific. It's 12.39. The number represents the amount of cents that people are paying at present in federal carbon tax, and that's measured in cents per meter cubed. And the last number, it's a multiplier, it's 2.6x, and that number represents the growth in that federal carbon tax as outlined by the federal government to 2030. So it's not so much a projection or a guess or an estimate about where this is going to go. These are all tabled numbers. These are factual numbers. You can verify them on the Canada website for Natural Resources Canada, where they have grids showing exactly what the federal carbon tax is going to be on marketable natural gas or oil if you're heating that way, and what those numbers look like from today all the way until 2030. So what we're seeing here from an opportunity perspective is that, you know, lots of energy that folks are using is dedicated to heating and cooling. We're seeing that almost everybody is participating in that. It's costing them a good amount of money every month, and that number is set to continue to incline just based on federal carbon tax alone, not to mention volatility in utility costs and general inflation. So we know that there is a very large demand, and certainly your presence here today speaks to the fact that people want to be able to save money and make eco-conscious decisions that they feel good about. So we'll go to the next slide and we'll present a potential solution. And we're proposing that could be heat pumps. So there are 4 primary reasons that we believe that this is an optimal solution to this dilemma. So firstly, heat pumps are incredibly energy efficient. And one of the key reasons that heat pumps are more efficient at heating spaces, particularly versus traditional heating methods, is that they're not actually creating heat. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive and maybe a little bit implausible, but at a very, very high level, what's happening is when you have an electric furnace or a gas-fired furnace, and I'll use those examples because they're very commonplace and I think people understand them better, you are actually generating heat. So you're using an electric heater element or you're burning a fossil fuel, and that is directly creating heat that is then circulated throughout your home or through that space. A heat pump works differently. It's not actually generating heat, it's transferring heat. So there's an outdoor unit and an indoor unit that work in tandem, and I'll explain a little bit about the technology behind that shortly, to transfer the heat indoors or outdoors. And that creates the net effect of either warming the space in your house or cooling it by transferring the heat outside. The second benefit that you'll see come up on the screen is that this technology is very, very versatile. So for those of us who have centrally ducted homes or homes with ductwork, registers, and vents that you're used to seeing on the floors or on the ceilings, this is an absolutely great technology for it. If you don't have that, it's no problem. You can absolutely still participate in heat pump technology applications for space heating and cooling through their ductless technologies, and I'll show you those products in just a second. The third key benefit is that it's compatible with 2 different sources. And one of those is air source. This is the most common, particularly in residential applications in cities like the city of Cornwall, but they are also compatible with ground source applications. And those are systems commonly referred to as geothermal. We'll touch on that for just a second momentarily. And lastly, a 4th key benefit is that it's something that you can do that's retro compatible with your home. So if you have a very standard home with a gas-fired furnace right now and a central air conditioner, adding a heat pump can be a great way to increase your energy efficiency, and you don't have to replace everything in your home. Simple upgrades will be able to allow you to take advantage of this technology. It works with your existing ductwork. We'll go to the next slide. And we'll talk a little bit about how that works. So heat pumps, a lot of people feel, particularly in North America, that this is a very new technology. That is in fact not true. They're over a century and a half old and were first used to be able to dry salt over 150 years ago as that was being mined in Austria. If you click, Gabby, you're going to see that there was initially a little bit, I don't want to say resistance, but certainly not as much uptake as we would have loved on heat pump technology. And that was primarily driven by the accessibility of other heating sources. So coal was very inexpensive to heat with during its day. Natural gas has been notoriously inexpensive as well. So the availability of options to heat that were inexpensive meant that people were not willing to invest in the higher upfront costs of heat pumps. So the technology didn't take up quite as quickly as we would have liked. So if we click, we're going to see that something has changed recently. And if you click again, you're going to see the two primary things that have changed. So mostly it's technology. Compressor technologies today far outpaces the compressor technology that existed when this technology was first introduced. So rather than having just on and off, you've got modulating compressors that are far more efficient and therefore able to use much less electricity to achieve the same net effect. There's this note at the bottom just mentioning that as of 2021, about 10% of space heating needs globally were powered by heat pumps. That number since then has been growing at a furious double-digit pace and compounding. We're seeing heat pumps make a really big change in this environment. Lastly, we're going to talk about why doing that now. And there's a couple of different pieces there. One is it's going to help you save on utility costs. We talk about the rise in carbon tax, so it can save you there. And again, it can save you money directly based on electricity prices. And we have our partner from Cornwall Electric here to speak to that piece as well. The last piece I'll speak to, and I think Jessica spoke to it very well with the HER Plus program, is that through Natural Resources Canada, the Greener Homes Grant Program is offering you huge rebates, a $7,100 rebate towards heat pumps if you meet their eligibility criteria, which are quite flexible. So there's a massive financial incentive upfront to invest in this technology today and start saving. So we'll move to the next slide. So how does this heat pump work? Basically, in cooling mode, it works exactly like your air conditioner does today. There's a coil on top of your furnace. It's hidden to you. There's the compressor motor that you see outside. The key is that the heat pump also heats, and it has a reversing valve, and that allows it to essentially flip into the opposite operation. So we talked about how the heat pump transfers heat from indoors and outdoors to create that net effect. It's the reversing valve that's enabling that, and it changes the role of the compressor coil and the evaporator coil. So it's using that technology. If we click, Gabrielle, you'll see a quick image here. The diagram is going to show you a little bit about how that works. So you've probably all seen heat pumps, even if you didn't know it, just driving by them. Some of the telltale signs is never going to be on a patio stone like an air conditioner is. It's going to be mounted up on a stand, sometimes on rails attached to the side of a building, and that's to allow liquid discharge to get out in the winter so that it doesn't ice dam. But this is what's happening on the inside from a technological perspective. If we click to the next slide, you'll see that there are a couple different types of heat pump systems. The first is central. That is an ASHP, or an air source heat pump. This is a very, very common technology, 100% powered through clean electricity. And in some cases, you can have a heater pack there to make sure that it keeps up with demand on the coldest days. Or if you're somebody who really needs that temperature to change on a dime, you're very particular about home comfort, this can be an excellent solution for you. The next one is ductless. We mentioned for those who don't have ductwork in their home, obviously it's an incredible renovation to be able to add that. So the ductless heat pump can have a single or multiple zones of heating and cooling and achieve the same net effect and garner you that energy efficiency that you're looking for. The next piece is a geothermal solution, or a GSHP, a ground source heat pump. This is primarily used in rural areas because it requires a good amount of land to be able to create an open or a closed loop. But basically, you're using the energy, the thermal energy that's stored in the earth, whether it's warm or cold based on the season, transferring that through water and then converting that into the air that pumps through the ventilation system in your home. The last one is a hybrid system. This is very, very popular and a relatively new technology here, where you can use an air source heat pump to do the primary heating, but it's backed up by your gas-fired furnace. So you don't need to get rid of your gas-fired furnace right away. If you'd like to hang on to it because it's very comfortable, it's familiar to you, perhaps it's very new and already very efficient, you can still take advantage of heat pump technology by pairing them together in what we call a hybrid solution using dual fuel. And that's it for me. I'll be around with the other panelists for questions. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for your presentation. So we're going to go right into our next presentation just because we are getting a little close to 1 o'clock. So help me welcome our final panelist of the day from the EnviroCentre, Cedric Papelia.
Thank you very much. So again, I just want to start off by saying thank you to all of you for coming and all the great presentations thus far. So just next slide, I just want to kind of summarize a little bit of what we talked about. And really my big takeaway from all the presentations thus far is we do have a path forward. Energy efficiency is happening. Oh, sorry, let's go back to the path forward. There we go. All good. So the path forward that we kind of laid out today was, starting off with looking at our utility bills, right? So this was really well described in terms of understanding how we're using our energy and what things within our buildings are using the most energy. And a little bit of a spoiler, which was alluded to by Andrea, was that anything that produces heat is consuming a lot of energy, right? Jessica Coker also mentioned that when she was looking at the distribution of the energy usage throughout a home, we could definitely see that heating was a really major component. And then obviously through Jessica Baker's presentation, the great work that Enbridge is doing to support homeowners and businesses to lower their emissions is fantastic. And then being able to access all those funds and resources that they can provide really helps make that process much smoother. And then kind of jumping into Tom's presentation on heat pumps. I'm obviously a big fan of heat pumps. I have a heat pump in my home as well. And that is a technology that we're seeing really being adopted at large scale. Now, all of this does come with a challenge. So next slide on that. So the challenge that we face is these things are expensive, right? So, getting all of these things done to your home can be costly, and the incentives do help. The HER Plus program, the $10,000 in grants, they definitely do help. But sometimes getting that initial money to start off, one thing I want to clarify about the grants, just to be very upfront with it, is a lot of the grants, the HER Plus grant and the Canada Greener Homes grant and various other grants, a lot of those grants, you actually get the money at the end. And that's a challenge. That means you have to actually pay all the money up front and then get reimbursed once the grants come in. And this could be very expensive. So what I'm here to talk about are some of the other financing options that will help you to achieve these programs. Next slide, please. So kind of piggybacking on the HER Plus program, there is also the Canada Greener Homes loan program. So this is a loan. So again, I just want to differentiate the difference between a grant and a loan. So a grant is essentially a money that you get for doing, certain work. A loan is money that you're going to get much larger amount of money. So in this case, the Canada Greener Homes loan, you can get a maximum of $40,000. And the really attractive thing about this is an interest-free loan, so 0% interest, which is extremely rare to find, especially nowadays. So these are mechanisms that are really much tied to the Canada Greener Homes grant program and follows the same process, as in applying for the program, getting an energy evaluation from a registered energy advisor or REA, and they can help enroll you into the Canada Greener Homes loan program as well. One thing I do want to stress, if you're applying for any type of loan, there's always an approval process. So you would still get your energy audit, just like you would normally if you're just going through the grant program. You'd get your reports that Jessica from Sustainable Kingston laid out. And after that, you would basically get your quotes from maybe someone like Tom, get your quotes together for your heat pump, for example, and then you would submit that to the Canada Greener Homes loan, wait for them to approve your funding request or your loan request. Then you can even get 15% of that loan up front, which will help cover deposits with your contractor, such as Tom, and then you can move forward and do your project and get it all funded through this loan. On top of getting the grant. So you can get the grant and the loan simultaneously. And this is, I think, what gets very interesting. So next slide. So the other piece that I'm talking about, and something I've been working with, heavily also with Sustainable Kingston for the Better Homes Kingston program, as well as with EnviroCentre based in Ottawa, working on the Better Homes Ottawa program. And basically what all of these programs are, they're called Ontario PACE programs. And what PACE basically means is property assessed clean energy loans. So they're all loan programs, right? Toronto has one, the Durham region has one, and as I mentioned, Kingston and Ottawa have them as well. And basically what they do is they offer loans that are tied to your property. So next slide, I think I break that down a little bit. So really what makes PACE programs different is, again, we have the access to zero interest property loans with repayment up to 20 years, so twice that of the federal loan. And if the property is sold, the loan can be transferred to the with the property. So that's a really important distinction between the federal Canada Greener Homes loan and any municipal loan, would be that the loan is tied to your property, not tied to you as an individual, which means, again, if you end up selling the home, the loan can be transferred to the new homeowners. And basically the way you repay that is generally in addition to your property taxes that you pay to your respective municipality. Now, the really important thing about all of these, and you're just talking about like so many programs, it's so confusing. And I agree, as someone who works in this industry, I can definitely vouch that it is definitely confusing, especially if you're trying to stack multiple programs like the HER Plus program, the Canada Greener Homes loan. If you're doing a really big project like insulating the entire exterior of your home, right, that could be a $60,000, $80,000 project, right? So then you could, even if you wanted to do that big of a project, you can actually apply to multiple loans, multiple grants, and get all of these things done, as well as also stacking it with some of the low income programs like the Enbridge winterproofing program, which I'm proud to say EnviroCentre is the delivery agent for the Enbridge winterproofing program in all of Eastern Ontario, so including Cornwall. So the other thing that's really neat about some of these PACE programs, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Better Homes Kingston program, and we built that in such a way that it was really supporting measures that are not covered under some of these other grant programs. And this is all about supporting those measures. So it's not competing against different programs. It's how can we find the gaps in those programs and supplement them with another program. And that's what gets really exciting when you're doing all of these together. So one good example that we do in Kingston is what we call supporting measures. So say you're heating with propane or oil, which is extremely expensive nowadays, and we want to convert to a heat pump. So you're going to call Tom and you say, hey, I want a heat pump and I want to get electric heat, a heat pump with an electric backup heat block, as he called it, or heat pack. And then, but he's going to tell you, well, your electrical panel is only 100 amps. So often when you're going to some of these really big electrical retrofits, or what we call a fuel switch, sometimes the electrical panel will need to be upgraded to 200 amps. So, and maybe even more if you do need an electric car as well. So what these programs can do, they can be a lot more flexible in terms of supporting what we call supporting measures, such as providing funding for an electrical panel that will support the upgrade of your heat pump, for example. The other thing that I like to really talk about is the difference between a performance-based program and a prescriptive program. So when we're talking about these funding arrangements, there's a whole lot of rules. This becomes complicated. Luckily, we got Jessica on the call, Jessica Coker here, that works for the City of Kingston, or works with the Sustainable Kingston, sorry, and is doing energy coaching. So actually guiding homeowners through this process on how to access all these different grant programs and loan programs all together. And the big key difference between a prescriptive program is the prescriptive programs have a very specific list, a very detailed list, very well done. And right, you get a heat pump, you can get, like Tom said, up to $7,100 for that heat pump. And then, of course, the same thing goes down the list. For attic insulation, there's a very specific amount, windows a specific amount, and we can go down the list that way. So those very specific amounts to very specific upgrades. As soon as you try to get outside of those set parameters, then you might have some challenges getting some funding. So one thing that we did with the Better Homes Kingston program and the Better Homes Ottawa program is that they are performance-based programs, which means that you have to hit a certain level of GHG reductions, greenhouse gas reductions, in order to access any of the funding provided. So that's an excellent method for you guys to look at these programs and see how can we bring all this money together, because that's really what it's all about, right? We want to try to get all the money together to do these big improvements on our properties. Next slide, please. So here's, I know there's a lot of numbers on this slide. I tried to make it very colorful and big numbers to see. This is what basically a very simple kind of case study of what it looks like to get a loan and a grant through one upgrade. So let's say you're looking at your energy efficiency building upgrade, and in this case, I picked three super common retrofits is what we call them, so energy upgrades. So mainly in a heat pump, attic insulation, and 2 new doors and 4 new windows. So I've kind of put some estimated rough costs here. Obviously, costs can vary drastically per home from one home to another, but I put here, roughly average heat pump cost of about 18,000, the attic insulation about 2,000, and then the windows being about 10,000 for a total of a $30,000 retrofit project. Now you might say $30,000, that seems like a huge amount of money. How am I going to do this? So this is again where you can apply for the Canada Greener Homes loan and basically submit all of your quotes for those 3 items and hopefully get approved to get $30,000. On top of that, here's the HER Plus, the Enbridge HER Plus incentive of $10,000. Technically, it's a little bit more. You can get up to $10,600, but I won't go too deep into the details. So the key here is you're going to get your incentive. You can use that to pay off a large chunk of your loan, or you can kind of keep it for other things. But let's just say in this case, we're going to take our $10,000 incentive and we're going to take it off our loan amount. So basically, the amount of money we need to pay back after we get our incentive is about $20,000. And let's say in this case, you're heating with propane. So on average, again, this can change depending on the home, but on average, we're seeing heat pump installations save roughly $2,500 a year moving to a heat pump from propane. And if we're taking a $20,000 loan through the Canada Greener Homes loan program, that's basically $2,000 a year we pay for to repay our loan. And what's really interesting about this is where I call where the project pays for itself, right? And a lot of people, this is where it clicks, is where the savings of these loans, because I'm not saying it's good to take out loans all the time, but if what you're doing with that loan is actually saving you money, and especially if you can get it to save more money than you're repaying back, then you're essentially getting this heat pump, this attic insulation, these doors and windows, all basically paid for by the savings of your project, and then that way it's actually paying off your loan for you. So we call this basically the net savings per year for you as a homeowner. It's about $500 per year that you get in your pocket after paying off your loan and getting all this beautiful, nice equipment, making your home a lot more comfortable. Just quickly here on the right, there's just some quick photos that really show what that looks like. So on the top right, we have a heat pump being installed. And then in the middle there, we have someone blowing in some attic insulation. And of course, at the bottom right, we have some windows. Make sure if you're buying windows that they're Energy Star certified in Canada. And don't worry, your registered energy advisor can definitely help you with that as well. So just to say, there has never been a better time to invest in home energy improvements than right now. There's a lot of money available. There's a lot of resources available. There's a lot of knowledge out there. So what are you waiting for? And I'll conclude with that. Thank you very much and look forward to questions you guys will have.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your presentation, Cedric. And a big thank you to all our panelists for being here today and for taking the time to speak with us about what it's like to be more energy efficient. Thank you to everybody as well who helped us set up and who helped us make this webinar a reality. And of course, a big thank you to all the listeners who tuned in today. Your participation is what makes these events such a success. So thank you so much. quick note, on behalf of our water conservation coordinator, here are some programs regarding water conservation that ties into energy efficiency. The city does have a toilet rebate program, and we also have free at-home water audits available. If anybody's interested in knowing more about these programs, you can email waterconservation@cornwall.ca for more information. So I'm now going to open up the floor for questions. I don't think that participants can turn on their microphones. So if you do have
I'll
any
be able
questions,
to turn them on if
yeah,
they have questions.
sounds good. You can just add those in the chat. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen just so I can go and monitor that chat. So thank you.
Okay, so I did see that we had, if you have a question, please raise your hand on Zoom. I believe Maria had a question earlier, but I'll wait and see if she raises her hand again. But I do have some questions on our Facebook live stream. So one of the questions is, oh, lost that one. Okay, so I have a excellent presentation, Andrea. And I also have someone asking, can heat pumps handle the extreme cold and extreme heat climates we get in Canada? So I guess that would be a Tom question.
That's probably one of the most common questions we get asked. So yes is the short answer to that. There are specific regulations with HSPF2 around zoning and how that works. I won't dive into all the technicalities of that. The most important thing you want to make sure that you inform yourself about is that you're getting something that's called a cold climate rated heat pump. Every manufacturer is going to advertise their specifications a little bit differently, but many are rated now as low as -30 degrees Celsius in order can still generate heat from air that cold. So fortunately, we don't have that many days that are that cold or below. So yes, a heat pump can absolutely heat your home in our harsh Canadian winters.
Perfect. Does anyone else, any other panelists have to add anything to add to that? Nope. Okay, so I have another question here. This one came in by email. So it says, Andrea talked about a feasibility study to see if solar panels would be appropriate on our house. How can we get a study done specifically for solar panels? Andrea?
Yeah, thanks for the question. That would be, you know, something that I believe that some like Sustainability Kingston or a private consultant that could help you with that. That's unfortunately not something that falls under Cornwall Electric doing that sustainability or that feasibility study. So, you know, the presenters talked a little bit about, you know, looking at what's in your home. All that is part of it. If you're looking at solar panels, and I would believe the consultants would be able to guide you on solar panels or any other form of, you know, renewable source of energy. And then they could give you an idea, you know, the payback when they talked about loans, if there's grants, you know, is it feasible at your property to have that house design, and then again the capacity and the cost, as Cedric talked about, costs, that would be an upfront cost to the customer, and when is that return on investment versus how much you use for your utility bills. So that's you know, kind of a holistic look at it. You would have to take a look at your, you know, history of billing, reach out to a consultant. They would do that feasibility study for you, and then as a, you know, customer, you would make that decision on when is that payback on your investment, and is that something that you want to do?
Jump onto that, Andrea, and thank you. I just wanted to say that, yes, Sustainable Kingston, if you're a registered energy advisor from whatever service organization comes out, then we can give a rough idea of the impacts that installing a solar photovoltaic system would have on your energy use, energy generation. And then the assessment, a more comprehensive assessment, would be done by a specific solar contractor, and they can do what's called a solar ready assessment. And that'll just confirm, yes, the space that you have available and the expected generation that you'd have for it, but then also confirming, you know, grid capacity and that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Jessica Baker.
Sorry, I would just add though that if there's anybody who is interested, even before getting that feasibility, because as I mentioned in the presentation, it's kind of a first come, first serve, and we have a capacity limit on that based on our power purchase agreement. So, go ahead, contact customer service and just, get your name in the queue, be on the list. Someone will reach out, give you a little bit more information on the feasibility, and then direct you, where you could get that assessment or something done. And then, when we're ready at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, for those kind of connections to happen, we would reach out to those customers in the priority that they set. And if they're not interested, then, or isn't a good time for them or haven't quite secured that feasibility or the funds for it, then, we would move them further down the list and go on to the next one. So without, maybe getting the study right away, if you just like to be put on the list because that's something that you would really like to consider for your property, I would suggest calling in and then getting on that list, because we do have a capacity limit for that.
Perfect. Go ahead, Jessica Baker.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention as well that Enbridge has an affiliate organization called Enbridge Sustain, and what the mandate is to go in and to put in solar panels, heat pumps, anything to do with geothermal, and we could get a representative to come out and just talk to you and look at your house and see what they have to say.
Perfect. Thank you, Jessica. And let's see here. We have some questions here that do we have programs for low income households? So I know we do have, I will quickly share our web page for the city of Cornwall. And you can see, oh, there we go. So if you go to Energy Efficient Homes page on the cornwall.ca website, we still have a lot of new information to add on there. I know Jessica from Enbridge has given us some more to add, but we do have the Ontario Renovates program, which you can learn more about as well. Could be that one that could work for low income housing, that is, or sorry, for low income individuals. So Ontario Renovates. I will stop sharing that. And if anyone is able to answer, I see Cedric's head nodding. Go ahead.
Yes, so definitely there are plenty of options for low income programs. The Kingston or the Renovates program is a good one. Obviously, I think Jessica Baker will definitely talk about the Enbridge winterproofing program, which is a fantastic program. We've done quite a lot of properties through that. The other one that I would like to talk about, and this is kind of in development, so kind of early stages, is the Green Neighborhoods Pilot Program and the Deep Retrofit Accelerator Initiative, which is some big grant applications that we put in with 11 municipalities participating and at this moment, and that's really focused on social housing providers. So that's large, what we call commercial retrofits, so looking at commercial buildings or multi-use or multi-unit residential buildings, and really looking at some large retrofits there. So that's coming.
Perfect. Jessica Baker.
Hi, thank you as well, Cedric, for that. Yep, Enbridge's home winterproofing program is geared completely towards affordable housing and low income resident households. So what it would do is all you have to do is fill out a form to make sure that you have the criteria necessary to fit the low income eligibility, and you get a bunch of upgrades for free. It's completely free. It's a wonderful program, as well as the affordable multi-unit housing program. So if you own a building and it's social housing, or you have a lot of low income tenants, then you're also able to get up to $8,000 in assessments, retrofits, things like that, to aid in your endeavor to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you, Andrea.
I just thought I'd mention here for low income, if anybody wants to visit our website, there's a link there to a government program. It's an OESP credit, so it's an on-bill credit for low income. They do have, it is a government program, so they assess eligibility, and they'll ask you 3 basic questions. I think your net income, how many people live in the household, and then it'll tell you, most likely you would qualify. So then you go through the application. You need to have the information, your name exactly as it is on the bill, that type of information that we went through on the bill. There is some information you're going to need from there. And then if you don't have it, we can also, provide that to customers. But it's an on-bill credit. It just takes a few minutes to apply. If it's low income and you meet the eligibility, then it could be anywhere between $30 to $45, $50 a month. And that's just a direct on-bill credit. So there's a link on our website if anybody wants to go and take a look at that and also fill that in. Also through our portal, we always put if there's any new programs that could be pertinent to the bill. Sometimes the different programs that are available to customers, today, what's available today, something, might be different tomorrow. So we encourage you to visit our website. We always put the links to those, but right now for low income, there is a link and you could just go ahead and answer those questions and you may be eligible for a non-bill credit.
That's great. Thank you, Andrea. Before I get to you, Tom, I'm just going to run a poll in the while you're chatting. Sorry if it blocks your face while you're chatting and answering, but I'm going to do just an end of webinar poll before people head out in the next few minutes. But yeah, how did you hear about this webinar? If you scroll down after the presentations, how much do you know about energy efficiency and how helpful was the webinar? And how likely are you going to make some changes? So I'll leave that poll up for everyone, and I'll let you go ahead and share your thoughts, Tom.
One other program that I thought was worth mentioning, it's a very specific one. It's targeted. It's called the Oil to Heat Pump Affordability Program. This is it's targeted at low income. I would suggest that you review the guidelines on the federal website around this. They are exceptionally generous on what they're considering low income because total family household members are included, not just income earners. So for families, that can help a lot of people. There's a availability of over $10,000 plus your audit fees towards getting people off of oil, because we know that oil is not efficient from an energy perspective. Also, it's not great for greenhouse gas emissions. It's one of the least favorable ways to be able to heat. And it's just notoriously expensive. A lot of homeowners now in the Cornwall area where there is still oil in the city limits, particularly on the southern border, looking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 just for one winter in home heating. So I would really strongly encourage you, if you are one of those people who has oil in your home, please reach out to a registered energy advisor, reach out to your local HVAC firm, inform yourself about this program. And I'd strongly encourage you to get away from oil, to just keep money in your pocket as well as have a positive impact on the environment.
Thank you. Andrea, is your hand up for a new response or from before?
Up from before.
No worries. I had a hand up from Wes. I'm not sure if they still have a question, but I'm going to allow them to talk. Are you able to talk, Wes?
I am. Thanks for taking that. I wasn't sure if there was time for this, but I had a more of a technical question for Tom with regards to single stage heat pumps. Shopping around for heat pumps, and I see those come across from some brands, and I just wondered what your thoughts were on those. Are they worth it, or should we stick to variable stage capacity units?
So it's ultimately going to be your decision, Wes. It's a very, very good question. There's a lot of pieces that are very specific to your home and very technical that need to inform that decision. So I don't want to give you very pointed advice on something when I don't know the specifics. I'd preface it by saying generally, any heat pump technology is going to assist in energy efficiency and should help in cost reduction. The more advanced that technology is, particularly when you get into modulation of multiple stages, you're going to see the highest energy efficiency. That also means you're going to see the highest upfront costs because those are more complex and expensive pieces to be able to manufacture. My recommendation to you would be to speak with somebody who is more familiar with your home. Get a comfort advisor out to your home to be able to speak about your specific requests and concerns. If you wanted to have a look at what your energy consumption was in the past, have somebody review air sealing in your home. Those are the best ways to answer those kind of pointed questions. I wouldn't want to be caught saying something that would apply to everybody. Every home is a little bit different. You've heard a lot of tips from some very informed panelists here about a lot of ways that you're going to be able to help.
Does anyone want to add to that? Nope. Okay, great. Thanks, Tom. Wes, anything to add, or you got your question answered?
No, that was great. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, perfect. So I do have a comment on Facebook. Excellent presentations. I've learned so much. It's really encouraging to see that all the work being done regarding energy and reducing their carbon footprint and addressing climate change. So another question on Facebook is, how much would heat pumps using gas backup roughly cost?
I guess I'm up again. I'll take a stab at it here, and it has a lot to do with how you configure it. So speaking very broadly, you can configure your heat pump in two ways. One is going to be for optimum efficiency, and then one is going to be for optimum comfort and demand. So you can set it where, for example, if after 15 minutes you don't reach the desired temperature, go ahead and activate the auxiliary heat and fire on that gas furnace to get the house to the temperature that I need it right away. The alternative is more of a set it and forget it kind of approach. Heat pumps are designed and deliberately operate to be very, very efficient. So setting it to a stable temperature and not adjusting it will always yield the best results and the most efficient results. That sometimes means you, depending on the outdoor air temperature from which it's grabbing that heat, it could take a few minutes or it could take a few hours to get to the temperature that you're looking for. The setting and forgetting it is really the best approach to make sure you're getting the most energy efficiency. So how much money will you save by installing a heat pump, and how much will you be using a gas furnace in a hybrid installation really depends a little bit on what's going on outside and the air temperatures, but also a lot on your preferences. So it's just, do you want to save the most money and be the most efficient, or do you want it to hit that temperature in 2 minutes or less? It's entirely up to you and your comfort levels.
Does anybody like to add to that? No. I have two more. Oh, Jessica Baker.
Yeah, I just want to add on to what Tom said. You know, I think that was.
Oh, we can, if you can speak up a bit.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Sorry, apologies. I just want to thank Tom for that great explanation of it. What I will just say that overall, what I've noticed so far in pilot projects that we've been doing with heat pumps, or just in understanding the technologies, that no matter what, your gas bill will go down if you have one. And I think that that's really the bottom line, especially when, you know, not to put too much cost, but if you want to do something like bring in a smart thermostat, that's really going to help you out as well, you know, and that's going to give you more control over these over the temperature in your home and how much savings that you're going to be doing.
Thank you, Jessica. I had a great question on Facebook. I can see it was by someone named Yeoman. I believe that is the way it's pronounced, but it has disappeared. So if they're still watching, if they can quickly type that back up in the comments, that would be great. If not, I have one more question from email. And this one is, I was wondering how I would go about having an energy report done on my new home. Who could I reach out to? I believe that would be energy audit report. So that would be, yes, I see the unmuting happening. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So yes, if you wanted to get your energy reports, and it's also important to note that in order to be eligible for any of the grants or the loan, you have to have your pre-retrofit evaluation done and get the generated reports from that, and then also have a post-retrofit evaluation done. And There are more reports that come with that too. But the short answer is that you would contact a service organization like Sustainable Kingston, and then they would send out a registered energy advisor, and then you, the homeowner, get the reports issued to you after the data is collected on your house, and then the modeling is done in your house, and from that model, the reports are generated and sent to you.
Thank you. I believe the EnviroCentre offers those services as well. Maybe that's why Cedric's hand is up. You're muted.
There we go. So also on the Enbridge website, so if you go to the Enbridge website under HER+, there'll be an area where you put in your postal code, and that will list all the service organizations that can conduct energy evaluations in your area. Sustainable Kingston will be on there, and EnviroCentre will be on there, along with many others.
Good addition. Thanks, Cedric.
So if there's no one else with questions, again, if you didn't have your question answered, please feel free to email Gabby and I at sustainability@cornwall.ca, or if you missed anyone's contact information or further just comments or concerns, we'll make sure to direct your questions to the right panelist. And thank you everyone for participating in the polls. If you want a prize, please reach out to sustainability@cornwall.ca so we can get that to you. And then I will leave it with Gabrielle, who did an excellent job putting this webinar together.
Thanks, Angie. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for all the panelists who participated today. Thank you for being here and for all the very important information. I'm sure everybody definitely benefited from this presentation. I know I learned something today. And thank you again for all the participants. Thank you for making this happen. Thank you, Angie, for your help. This was a great event, and I'm surprised that we're finishing right on time. It's great. We planned this super well.
I'm going to say we do have someone who just put their hand up as a attendee. Are you guys okay with that? Yeah, okay. Okay, go ahead, Maria. Oh, ask to unmute.
Yeah, what were the prizes?
Oh, so we have some books, and we have some other energy efficient gadgets for your home.
No, not $8,000 grant, no.
Well, I'm not too sure. I could talk to the panelists and see what they can offer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great question.
Perfect. With that said, Gabby, you ready to close it off?
Yeah. Were there any more questions? I can't see the
no,
chat there.
I don't see anything else.
We got everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. That does conclude today's webinar. So thank you for all your participation, for everybody's help, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Ciao.